on the nose. I do some, but cocaine has long stopped giving me the feeling of self-love and confidence that I achieved when I did it in a bathroom of a hotel in Dallas, Texas in 1987, and almost instantly became psychologically addicted to it. Not dependent, that would come later. I became addicted to that feeling of self-love because I was somebody who had gone his entire life hating himself for various reasons. I had to have that, and that feeling had long stopped coming. And then, as often happens with long-term cocaine use, came the paranoia. Do I hear the cops outside? Is SWAT gonna bust in through the window like on Christmas vacation? I take the cocaine, I put it back in the Ziploc baggie, I hide it, I drive to a Home Depot, I buy electrical faceplate outlets, a drill, and a saw. I drive back to my house, I go to each closet in my house in the drywall, bzz, 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 and I drill a fake electrical outlet in each closet. And I put the cocaine in little Ziploc baggies, put it back there, closed it up, bzz, 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 thinking I was the smartest lawyer ever. Like the DEA, the cops, and the drug dogs have never thought of that before. I did a little more, and once again, just shame and pain and paranoia. I go back to the electrical outlets, bzz, 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 bzz. I take it all out, I put it back in the Ziploc baggie, and I go to the bathroom and I flush it all down the toilet. Now it's about $950 worth of cocaine. The next morning comes, as so often happens when a perceived negative event in addiction gets in the rearview mirror. I wake up and I'm such an idiot. I flushed all my blow down the toilet last night. There's another game tonight. Another call to my brother Mark to get a couple more tickets. Another call to my drug dealer. He shows up at my house. Dude, you did all that blow last night. I didn't want to tell him I flushed it down the toilet. Yes, I did it all. Yes, I need more. Okay, here you go. Back up to my home office. Dump it out all on the desk again. Once again, just shame and pain. Get paranoid again. Go back to each closet. Bzz, 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 bzz. Hide it behind each electrical outlet again. Take it out. Go back to the bathroom, drop to my knees like I'd done so many times before, hoping or praying for someone or something to take away the pain of my addiction, and flush it all down the toilet again. They say when Dallas flushes, it ends up in Houston, so some people in Houston got kind of high that night. The quote-unquote insanity of addiction, right? And for me, it wasn't just cocaine. By the time I was 20, I was a full-blown quote-unquote alcoholic at Penn State University, getting drunk every morning, drunk every night, going to class drunk. By the time I was 26, I was addicted to cocaine. By the time I was 44, my first of 2 trips to a Dallas psychiatric facility after becoming suicidal. 3 failed marriages, 1 more, I get a free set of steak knives. And then finally, after my second trip to that facility, recovery. I remember the day before the recovery began, or actually I don't remember too much of it, because it started on a Friday night, Easter weekend 2007. The next thing I know, it was 2 days later, I had gone to a party in downtown Dallas. My girlfriend, who had just moved in with me a week before, she's my wife now, she stood by me. I did get that free set of steak knives. We dated for over a decade while I found recovery and rebuilt the trust. And now we've been married going on 3 years. So not all relationships will survive it, but ours did, and I had to do the work. I had to do the work for me, not for her, not for anyone else, because people do leave, people die, pets die, life happens, and it has to withstand all of that. But lying in that bed that morning, she's looking down at me, there's cocaine everywhere, there's black market Xanax strewn across the table, cocaine and Xanax go together. She's trying to figure out if she walked in the right house. I'm trying to figure out what lie I can tell to explain this law and order orgy of evidence that I might not be the person she thought I was. All I could think of was, take me to Green Oaks, because I'd been there once before. You've been to a psychiatric facility? Yeah, there are some things you don't know about me. We'll talk about that later. It was kind of like running home to mom. Take me to Green Oaks, so during that drive I can think of a better lie. We're standing in the parking lot of Green Oaks Hospital. She's crying, and I'm thinking she's gone, and she moved out, but we got through it. She's a saint. And a couple other things occurred to me besides that. One, there wouldn't be a third trip back to Green Oaks because I'd be dead. And I thought about something my father would say to my older brother Mark and my younger brother Jeff and I growing up. He would say to us all the time, whatever happens in your life, no matter where you go, you watch out for your brother. You pick up that phone and call your brother and tell him you loved him. My father had given us the bond of brothers and the bond of families that I feel so privileged to have had beginning my recovery. And it is privileged because a lot of people don't have that type of connection moving forward. And I wasn't ready to lose that. My father, veteran of World War II and Korea, was the middle of three boys, like me. He understood. He understood. And I didn't want to lose that. And so the next day, I walked into my psychiatrist's office, who I've been lying to. Well, why would you lie to your psychiatrist? You're paying them, right, to get better. Shame knows no hourly rate. It doesn't matter what the environment is. When we are ashamed, we tend to hold back. So I wasn't really telling him I was getting antidepressants for my failed marriages, and it was just about that. And I finally got honest with him. He says to me, would you consider going to residential treatment? I'm not going to residential treatment. There are no lawyers in residential treatment, right? Yeah. And my ego was just so overblown, I refused to go to residential treatment. Would you consider 12-step? There's a meeting that goes on right next door. I'm not going to 12-step. I can't. There are people who smoke. I see them smoking out there. Secondhand smoke will kill you. I can't go. Come on. When I finally walked in the rooms, half the people I knew were lawyers. And so that was my path to recovery. Abstinence, because there's no such thing as one line of cocaine. There's no such thing for me as one drink without one line of cocaine. So my path has to be abstinence. But there are many paths out there. Recovery is about the many paths. Abstinence, the rooms, smart recovery, celebrate recovery, medication-assisted recovery for those who are struggling with opioid addiction and heroin. These are all the paths that we choose that are important to us for us to define our recovery and live our best life. For me, it had to be abstinence. I walked into the rooms of 12-Step April 8, 2007, and I'm looking around, and I start comparing stories. Oh man, that's bad. Oh, that's bad. Come on now. None of these people have traded Dallas Mavericks tickets for cocaine. They don't know my problems, right? Ego front and center. But the more I started listening, the more I realized that cocaine to nose, drink to mouth, it's all the same. We all bring a story. We all bring stories that involve so many other things than the substance, the trauma, the life, the story of our lives. And realizing that we are about the story as much as we are about the path is why I decided to share my story. Because there has been trauma in my life. There has been a lot of different things, bullying, fat shaming. I was physically assaulted over my weight as a young teen. All these things that built up that led me to have a view of someone in the mirror as someone who was a fat and unlovable. And so I think it's important to share for people to know that we are lovable, that we are all stories that are important, and those stories can play an important part of our recovery. Every one of you is a story here. Every one of you is important. Every one of you has your own unique path. Walk that path and recover, because that is all that matters. Recover. Thank you.